Shalom, shalom. This is Brother Layash Kakum, Service to Zion. Before I begin, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Bahakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, teach some doctrine, and a strong shalom to the hopeful elect. Real quick, this released a day ago. It says Iran releases footage of Missile City. And, some interesting things I learned about Iraq today. You know, Iran is modern day Persia. And just to get a little bit more clarity on the situation, on the relationship between the U.S. and Iran, I read this article. It says since 1995, the U.S. has had an embargo on trade with Iran. Real quick, let's see what embargo is. An official ban on trade or other commercial activity with a particular country. Impose an official ban on trade or a country or commodity. Seize a ship or goods for state service. So let's go back. In 2015, the U.S. led successful negotiations for a nuclear deal, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, intended to dismantle Iran's nuclear weapons capabilities. And when Iran complied in 2016, sanctions on Iran were lifted. So let's keep reading. This is in Wikipedia. It says Iran and the U.S. have had no formal diplomatic relationship since 1980. Pakistan serves as Iran's protecting power in the U.S., while Switzerland serves as the U.S.'s protecting power in Iran. Contacts are carried out through the Iranian interest section of the Pakistani embassy in Washington, D.C., and the U.S. interest section of the Swiss embassy in Tehran. In 2018, leader of Iran banned direct talks with the United States. It says the U.S. newspapers in the 1720s were uniformly pro-Iranian, especially during Mahmud Hotaq's 1722 revolt against the Iranian monarchy. Relations between the two nations began in the mid to late 19th century when Iran was known to the West as Persia. I'm going to keep reading. But, you know, the relationship between them two has always been shaky, always been shady, because the U.S., you know, they appear to be cool, and then, you know, they set you up with a friend of a friend, you know. Just like here, it says, during World War II, Persia was invaded by the United Kingdom and the Soviet Union, both U.S. allies, but relations continued to be positive after the war until the later years of the government of Mohammad Mossadegh, who was overthrown by a coup organized by the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, and aided by M16. This was followed by an era of very close alliance and friendship between Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi's regime and the U.S. government, Persia being one of the U.S.'s closest allies, which was in turn followed by a dramatic reversal in disagreement between the two countries after the 1779 Iranian Revolution. Let's go back to it. So this is the part in the article where we reach. So from 1772 up until now, that was the history between modern Iran, biblically known as Persia. It says since 95, the U.S. has had an embargo on trade. And in 2015, the U.S. led successful negotiations for a nuclear deal, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, intended to dismantle Iran's nuclear weapons capability. And when Iran complied in 2016, sanctions on Iran were lifted. Let's look up this Joint Comprehensive Action Plan. Known commonly as the Iran Nuclear Deal or Iran Deal, is an agreement on the Iranian nuclear program reached in Vienna on the 14th of July 2015 between Iran and the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. The UN deals with the military aspect of things, and the EU deals with the monetary side. So this ties in perfectly to what we've been saying. All things making prophecy to come to pass. Formal negotiations toward the Joint Plan of Action and JCP. An interim agreement signed between Iran and the P5-1 countries in November 2013. Iran and the P5+1 countries engaged in negotiations for the next 20 months. In April 2015, agreed on a framework for the final agreement. So this is more details on the agreement. Iran's stockpile of low-enriched uranium was reduced by 97% from 10,000 kilograms to 300. This reduction will be maintained for 15 years. For the same 15-year period, Iran will be limited to enriching uranium to 3.67%, a percentage sufficient for civilian nuclear power and research, but not for building a nuclear weapon. However, the number of centrifuges or I don't know what that means. Salakia. It says it's sufficient for a nuclear weapon, but not for nuclear power. This is a major decline in Iran's previous nuclear activity prior to watering down the stockpile pursuant to the Joint Plan of Action interim agreement. Iran had enriched uranium to near 20%, medium enriched. These enriched uranium in excess of 300 kilograms of up to 3.67% will be down blended to natural uranium level or be sold in return for natural uranium, and the uranium enriched to between 5% and 20% will be fabricated into fuel plates for the Tehran research reactor or sold or diluted to an enrichment level of 3.67%. So basically, they wanted to slow Iran down and try to avoid prophecy. Joe Biden's choice for Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, told the Senate that he wanted a longer and stronger nuclear deal with Iran. Blinken warned that a new nuclear agreement could address Iran's destabilizing activities in the region. On February 26, 2021, the United States military carried out a series of airstrikes on Iran-backed militias in Syria. The strikes took place after a militia-organized rocket attack in the Iraqi city of Erbil wounded 4 American contractors and 1 soldier. So, America has been the big bully on the block and been trying to flex his muscle for years, but like we've been saying, you can't negate prophecy. You can't. Obadiah 1:7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that are at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Right, so at one particular part in history, it was cool Iran, Persia, or at least pretended to be. Some of the other nations that you claim to be cool with, they're going to, turn their back on you as well. And they're going to bomb the shit out of you. And that's where the lake of fire revelation come from. Not constant torment underground. Obadiah 1:8, it says, Shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Jump back up to the top. It says, the vision of Obadiah, Thus saith the Lord, our power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. So the whole time, everybody hates America and is just waiting on an opportune time to strike. Nahum 3:1, Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departed not. Jump down to verse 4. It says, Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts, behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Lord of armies, and I will discover the skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. Right, so your plans for world domination, transhumanism, basically extortion. Shady dealings. Breaking treaties. You're being exposed, and these other nations despise you. These are just a few examples. You could always look up yourself and see how America has dealt treacherously. As a matter of fact, that's I think of a precept. Isaiah 33:1, Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Right. Yeah, forget what karma talking about. That's the Lord. Balance. Everything that you done shall be done unto you. You done took over countries and established military bases, embargoes, all types of treacherous dealing. It's going to be returned on your head double. First on earth, World War III. And then the people who survive, mainly the elite bankers, y'all going into slavery. Y'all going to be first. Then you're going to work and work some more until the Shabbat. Then you're going to work again until the Shabbat come back around. But, really that was it. Just to reinforce a couple of points, Iran revealed they nuclear capabilities, and despite the U.S. using embargoes and the Iran agreement, the nuclear agreement, prophecy is still going to come to pass. The nations that you once were familiar with or dealt with in some type of way are going to end up turning their back on you. And this is all prophecy. So with that, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach sound doctrine. And a strong shalom to the hopeful elect. Brother Elias could come. Until next time, shalom.